Coming up next on the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast.
Don't offer everything, especially in the beginning. Please do not do that. Get very good at cleaning, or whatever you're starting with. Get very, very good at that. Don't just say, I'm going to do everything.
From your first dollar to your first million, welcome to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast, presented by ZenMaid. Join your host, Stephanie Pipkin, founder of Serene Clean, as she shares proven tips, tricks, and hard-earned lessons. Whether you're just starting out or ready to scale, get ready to discover how to build your own cleaning empire. Let's roll up our sleeves and dive in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Filthy Rich Cleaners. I am your host, Stephanie Pipkin, and today's amazing guest is Libby DeLucien, and she is a woman of many trades and many skill sets, and I can't wait for you guys to hear all about her pretty incredible journey, as well as what she's doing now, and we'll all learn some things about leadership, and we'll talk about mistakes, horror stories, all the good stuff that you guys come here for. So, Libby, thank you for being here, and tell me about your story.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here. My story, it's a long one, but I think it's pretty similar to a lot of your listeners. I do come from some business background, but not cleaning. You know, they always say there's like new money and old money. I say I'm new cleaning versus old cleaning. So I'm new money and cleaning because I'm fairly new to the industry. I didn't know anything about cleaning, never had a cleaning company as a child, as an adult. I started my cleaning company and organizing, because we do organizing and cleaning, out of pure desperation. Going through a horrible divorce, my ex kicked me out of our house, changed the locks, and took the kids.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was like, what can I do? What are the things I could do? I don't have any money. What am I good at? And that's how I got into it. I first started organizing. That is my, probably my unique ability, or the thing that I'm the best at. And from there, we added cleaning, because all of the organizing customers were like, I need a great cleaner. I need a great cleaner. And I was like, oh, this is easy. Like, how hard could it be? And because I have no background in cleaning, don't know anything about it, I went in completely blind.
As many of us do, yes.
Yeah, and I cleaned for about, not quite, but almost a year. I organized in the field for about 3 years, and I cleaned for almost a year because I wanted to learn the ins and outs, and and I'm glad I did, because now, my God, I know how hard it is. I know how much the job can suck. I know how rewarding it is, and I was the worst cleaner probably ever. Because I over cleaned everything. I was not efficient. I mean, by the time I got done, my billable hourly rate was probably below minimum wage, because I was so slow.
The details were there, but the efficiency not so much, for sure. And I mean, that's why I'm such a fan of owners. I know it kind of sucks. It's like, I'm still cleaning, but you know what clean is, and like you said, that point of being empathetic to your staff when you do add staff, and knowing what is reasonable, even to the point of how many first times or deep cleans are we scheduling on a given team or given team member, because those are way harder than maintenance cleans. So being cognizant of the challenges of this job, it's very physically demanding. So when you've done the work, like honestly, I don't know if I could go back to full-time cleaning. Like if I ever get thrown into the field now, it's like my whole body just like aches. I'm like, how did I do this? So
Absolutely.
It's very physically demanding. So I am highly intrigued by the organizing aspect in many facets. Number one, would you say that getting organizing clients is very different than getting cleaning clients? I have talked to a few folks who really want to get into organizing, or they offer it, and they struggle to get clients. So do you have any suggestions on that, or how did you get your first clients when you were strictly doing the organizing?
Oh my God, I got my first organizing clients through Groupon, and I don't recommend it.
Probably really cheap, huh?
It was, because it's like 50% off of like your regular price, and then Groupon keeps another percentage of that. So like by the time I was done, I think I got like $20 for a job.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't recommend it. And organizing is very similar to cleaning. I've always said I wanted to launch an organizing course to teach cleaning companies how to incorporate organizing into their business.
I would buy that, because we literally just say, how do you scale this? How do you train this. So, I mean, I'm all ears on that. How do you do that?
So, one of the biggest things is for us, the way we were successful with it and the way we scale it is we keep them completely separate. They have a separate uniform, they're separate hourly rate. So like for organizing, we get like $100 an hour. It's considered a different skill set. And it was very interesting because when I first started, I was an organizer first and then I started cleaning. And I still wore a different uniform if I was cleaning or organizing. We never commingle the two, ever. Right? Okay. You have to organize before you can clean. But the way people treated me as an organizer. So when I walked into a house, they treated me like a god. They're like, oh my God, can I get you a coffee? Can I get you a water? Like, oh, can I get you anything? Oh, you want a chair so you can sit down? Because organizing a lot of standing. But when I would walk into the house as a cleaner, they're like, hey, can you get my water? Can you get my purse?
See it more like a servant almost.
I was kind of like, this is bizarre. The way that you're looked at and you're treated, and it's just like society's perception of cleaners. And I was like, this is just so crazy. So with organizing, we can mix customers. We can recommend our service. Like if the house is too messy, we recommend organizing. If we're organizing a house, we recommend our cleaning. So for me, it was very easy to scale because the word organizing or professional organizing is not as expensive as cleaning. So everyone's going to run and buy this on Google AdWords now. But when you're promoting your service, when we're promoting cleaning, we're competing with all the franchises. Like it is a high dollar word, no matter if you're competing like in Facebook ads, Google ads, Thumbtack, Bark, like it doesn't matter because you're competing with franchises. But with organizing, there are little to no franchises. And a lot of organizers are solopreneurs, like cleaners when they start out. And very few hire people and very few market, like paid ads. So it was very easy for us to get our foot in the door with organizing. And so we kind of commingle the word and we tidy, so which is clean and organize. But it was very easy for us. It's scalable. It sets you apart. It's a big differentiator in your market if you can do both. Our cleaners clean and our organizers organize. Now that doesn't mean that they can cross. Like if you have a really good cleaner that likes to organize, she just has to know she has an organizer hat on when she's going in for $100 an hour. Okay. Versus like her cleaner hat on. Because they're looking to you as the expert, and organizing is a lot of coaching. If you can't talk to people, you can't do it.
That's what I was wondering about and the reason why I'm so gun shy about organizing or even like coming onto it, just as I'm sure many of our listeners are, but hearing that $100 an hour, like hearing that, it's like, oh, what? So when it comes to the actual process, is the client literally there with you? Because you're touching their stuff. How do you know what they want? Is that just an intake form is super duper detailed? Like tactically, how do you make sure you are doing what is actually going to work for them?
So it's a great question because when it comes to cleaning, it's hard to train our cleaners to organize. It is because they're taught don't open the drawer. Like, oh my gosh, if you move it, put it right back. But as an that's the mentality they have. That's how we train them. If they have experience, that's how they were trained with other companies. But with organizing, you come in and you destroy it. Like you take out all the drawers and you dump everything out on beds. You gather up everything off the counters. And your job is to not put it back in the same place. Your job is to create a process or a system so that the use of the space is more efficient. So, that it's just coaching. We have a variety of customers. We have some very high-end customers saying, I don't want to be involved. I just want my space to look beautiful. And you can do that if you have experience or confidence. The rule of thumb is that you cannot get rid of anything without permission.
Sure.
So if they're not in the home, we just simply keep the donation boxes in the garage or on the front porch for them to go through at another time. Okay. Because a lot of customers have the money and they don't want to deal with it.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yes. And then if they are home, and we prefer working with the customer, and if they are home, it's just a lot of coaching. Number one rule as well is, well, there's two big rules. One is you can't tell anyone what to get rid of. You have to coach them. You have to ask them the questions. It's just like a business coach. We're not supposed to tell you what to do. We're supposed to ask you the questions so that you get to your own answer. And the second rule was you can't get rid of anything without their permission. So as long as you follow those two rules, like, you're not going to get yourself into any trouble.
Sure.
As far as, like you said, it's a lot of liability. How do you know what you can get rid of? You don't get rid of it if they're not there. And if they are there, then they're giving you the consent to kind of take it. But it's a great thing to add. It is easy to separate yourself. It's easy to market because there's not a lot of competition in the market. And it's something that all of our customers need. Like, all of our cleaning customers, almost all of them, I would say like 90% of our cleaning customers could use it.
Do you suggest, I mean, I'm assuming the answer is yes, but correct me if I'm wrong. Do you suggest always charging hourly for organizing? Or is it?
Oh, yes.
Okay, that's what I figured.
I'm like, you don't know what you're walking into.
Yes.
I've done hoarder houses. I've done total like clean outs. I've done $10,000 like jobs with houses like families need to sell. Somebody's passed away. It's not, I mean, it's a very, very fun job. And there's two kinds of organizing, right? So if you're a cleaning company and you want to offer organizing, you can start with offering organizing services.
Okay.
Not professional organizing.
Okay.
And so if you explain it well enough, you won't get yourself in trouble, and you can actually have some of your cleaners do this. So organizing services is essentially aesthetically making the area look beautiful. So what that means is you're not necessarily creating a process or system. You're not necessarily working with the client. You're just taking a pantry and aesthetically making it look pleasing. Maybe throwing away the expired stuff or categorizing and making it look pretty. Now, if professional organizing is you come in and you work with a client, you coach them, you help them. The purging process is huge in this. And then from there, then you create systems, which would be like additional shelvings, bins. How does it work? Do you have small children? So let's put the snacks at the bottom. That's more of professional organizing, when you come in and you're making processes and systems for the family. That's professional. And then organizing services is just like taking what's there, not necessarily purging, not taking it all out, just making it look pretty.
I'm so happy. Like, that was just like a light bulb moment of you just explaining that, because we have done like light organizing, if you will, where it's like if a regular client wants, their closet organized or their shoe area or whatever, and it's just a mess, we'll just make it pretty, or their kitchen cabinets or whatever. So that's exactly what we've done. We just don't advertise it because we're so, again, estimating as well is a question I have when it comes to that, because for cleaning, I know our production rates. It's easy to calculate, but it just seems like, how do you even know how much time to schedule for the jobs? Do you always have eyes on and go see it? Do you have them send pictures? How do you handle that?
I stopped doing in-home quotes because they took all my ideas and then didn't hire me.
I see.
Yeah, because you're talking them through that, like, oh, we could do this here and that there. Yeah. So, along those lines, as far as how do you price it, it's actually super, super easy to price.
Okay.
You price it by a block of hours. That's it. So we do a 4-hour minimum for $400. That's for professional organizing. For $400, each additional hour is $100.
Okay.
That's it. We won't go more than 6 hours. That's our cap a day, because you're done. You're tired.
Yep.
You start to lose efficiency. And when people are like, well, how much is it going to cost? And we always say, well, we can do as much or as little as you want. We can take you from the beginning of the process to the end. We can take you as far as you can afford it. Yep. But it's up to you. The reason you want to price organizing this way is because, an example is an office with papers. Papers take 5 times longer than any other room. Because you could have a stack of papers like this and it would have hundreds and hundreds of papers in it, versus a stack of hundreds and hundreds of t-shirts is much larger. And the client determines how fast or slow you go. So if you want to talk about everything and you want to tell me your life story about where you got this t-shirt from, more power to you.
Well, that was my next question was when it comes to, we charge hourly for residential. There's pros and cons to each way. There's lots of ways to skin this cat, I know, and probably could be a lot more profitable doing it flat rate. We just haven't jumped to that yet, honestly. It's a big, colossal thing at this scale to switch. So I don't even broach the topic with my managers because they're like, no, we're not doing that yet. Maybe someday. Obviously, commercial and vacation rentals are all flat rate. So my question is, do you ever have clients complain about the production rate of organizing? Like they are dissatisfied with how much gets done?
Never. They love it. They love you. They've been able to talk, open up, see physical results. With cleaning, we see it if it's really dirty. But if it's not like super dirty, you're just kind of it smells good.
You notice it when it's not done well.
Yeah. But with organizing, because it's so visual, I have never in all of our years, people are ecstatic. They love the organizing. They're so grateful, and they've been meaning to do this, and it's interfering with their life. Organizing it interferes with so much of your life, like your health, your day-to-day. I'm huge on mental health and cleaning and organizing. That we have this whole guide on how cleaning and organizing on our website can improve your mental health, either by having a clean and organized house, or by the physical actions of cleaning and organizing can also improve your mental health.
Yeah, and that's definitely a branding avenue or marketing strategy that we use in Serene Clean too, is talking about the mental health aspects of the effects of what we do and the lack of what we do and what that does negatively to people. And I think that is a wonderful strategy for us owners and for our listeners here of talk about those types of things, because the clients immediately gravitate because they feel heard. They feel seen. Their experience is finally validated of I am severely depressed and my house is a total shit show. And we can literally change their life like that in one day of work by doing that. And so highlighting that, I ask our clients to talk about how it made them feel, really just we are selling a feeling, we're selling an experience, and it's not just a logical decision people are making. At least when it comes to the women that are making that hiring decision, I typically find that this is a very emotionally like a ball of yarn that we're pulling when it comes to the emotional aspect and baggage related to, because we're the ones who are expected to maintain the household, regardless of outside forces. If you have a full-time job, et cetera, statistically speaking, that house labor is still falling on the woman. So would you say that it's usually women who are reaching out for this, or surprise me, is it the other way around?
No, it is a lot of women. It's just about the same as cleaning. I was probably like a 90-10 split, like 90% women, 10% men. I will say garages are huge in the organizing sector. Huge, like garages. We do a campaign it's 110 degrees outside and you'll leave your Tesla sitting out there, but you have a bunch of junk in the garage. Those are some of the marketing campaigns. We are like, do you feel bad for your car right now?
That's good.
And, you had said what you're selling, and it's funny, I just pulled up my Google Doc because I worked for the last 3 weeks. I dove in, I restructured all our companies, and I got really specific on a few things, and it's what we sell. And so for the listeners, if you don't know what you're selling, you're not just selling cleaning, and I'm going to read you, I have one for every company. I have one for myself as well. Like, what am I selling?
Oh, I love this.
And so I'm going to read you Organize It. So what we sell is peace of mind. We're not just selling cleaning and organizing services. We're providing the calm and clarity that comes with living in a clean and organized space. Your services help clients reclaim their time, reduce overwhelm, and enjoy the sanctuary of their homes.
Beautiful. And it's so true. And it's just like knowing who your ideal and likely buyer is, or defining your avatar, as it's oftentimes called. Like, that gives you clarity, because so many times I see people speaking as if they were speaking to themselves, And not all the time is who they are their ideal and likely buyer. Sometimes, I do consulting with guys, and the ads read as if a guy is writing them, frankly, and not like, it's not to the busy working mothers who are going to be the ones hiring you. So it's like, it's very difficult to market well and effectively if you don't know who you're talking to and what you're talking about and what you offer. So I love, that's a really great tip to like get ultra clarity on what you're offering.
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, everybody sells a feeling. So we're selling the feeling of peace of mind. If you think about like, what does Starbucks sell? What does Apple sell? They're all selling a feeling, and it's not a product, and it's not a service. It is a feeling. So you have to think about, what is the feeling that you're selling? So for Organize It, and my cleaning company is named Organize It. I tried this, guys. Everybody's like, oh, if I'm going to launch organizing, I'm going to open another business. Please don't. Sure. I had my organizing company first, and I decided, I'm going to add cleaning. I'll open a whole nother company, like a subsidiary, another Facebook page, another website. It was a disaster. It's just
Can you explain
too much.
Why?
It's too much to keep up with. They're the same customers. It's the same office staff. We're using the same CRMs, the same softwares. And so about 2 years in, I decided to merge them. And it's been the best thing ever. It's like we just conquer all of it together. And, you know, and a lot of people get worried about the name. So I'm not worried about the name when you're marketing. If you hire a plumbing company, I mean, how often do we remember the plumbing company's name? I know it sounds horrible, but
it's true.
You're not going to remember my name. And then I just made my tagline. Our tagline is, we're the most organized cleaning company in the world.
Ooh, that's clever. Somebody's going to steal that.
So, it's Organize It. And cleaning is it's 20% probably of our revenue, because it's recurring. We're organizing is very project-based, high dollar tickets, but more project-based. And when we kept the word Organize It, we decided to go like super classy and sleek, as like, okay, we're going to be different from a cleaning company. We don't have a cleaning company name. And so it hasn't hurt us at all.
Okay.
Like by adding cleaning or vice versa, if you add organizing, don't think you have to go change your name and do all that jazz.
Well, and especially if you do have that brand recognition and power behind that original name. I've gotten that question before where people are like, I want to add commercial. Should I do a different name that has like janitorial in it? And I was like, no, don't do that, because it's just, what's the benefit? It's probably only going to be way more work. And like you said, especially when it comes to softwares. So what, you're going to have 2 ZenMaids up? You're going to have like, it doesn't, why? Especially for your managers of like switching between. So, because often, I mean, you're probably having one operations team or one management team handling all of it. So making it more difficult on them for not much benefit, don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can you tell me then a little bit when it comes to how it's evolved over time? Does anything stick out to you? I'm sure there's lots of things that stick out to you of how you did things in the beginning versus how you do things now. And this could be in the realm of anything, managing your staff, the services that you offer, and getting more nuanced on that. Is there anything that you're like, gosh, I wish we would have done that differently?
A lot of stuff. I mean, I don't even know where to
start. I can talk about that for days.
I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I started probably just like everybody else. I was using, I don't even think you could call them independent contractors, because I was just paying them under the table. And I only had like one. Where my business, when my business really changed, and it was only about like 9 or 10 months into owning my business, I had my daughter. So I had struggled for a few years to get pregnant with my daughter and had several miscarriages and tried. For all the listeners that are ladies, I actually had my tubes tied after my 16-year-old and had the surgery to untie them to have my daughter, who's 6.
Oh my goodness. So wait. You had her when you're 9 months into business. So you were pregnant the entire
I was pregnant almost the whole time.
Oh my gosh, you are a trooper. I can't I haven't had children yet, but I literally cannot fathom doing that. That's amazing.
And when I found out I was pregnant with her, it was this moment of like joy and sadness. It was joy because I had tried so hard for so many years, for like 5 years, and for like a lot of failure, right? And it wasn't working. And then all of a sudden, the organizing was doing great. We added the cleaning, and the cleaning just took off. Like, it was nuts. And when I found out I was pregnant, we had only had the cleaning company a couple months, and we were doing great. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It was like, I'm happy, but I'm sad because I'm like, this is going so great. What am I going to do? So I cleaned until it was like the day before I had her.
Oh my gosh. How'd you do bathtubs and stuff? I know I see in the cleaning groups all the time, like ladies pretty much up until the hospital trip, they're cleaning. And I'm like, how do you do this? That's amazing.
It's amazing what happens when you're desperate. Right? A lot of innovation, new ideas come during times of desperation.
Yes. So true.
So I cleaned. I had 1 or 2 helpers, and they were great. They didn't speak any English. Like I was just doing all, I was just trying to figure it out. I had no clue how to clean, like how to do this professionally. And so when it was getting close to having my daughter, I was researching because I was like, I'm going to create a process. I'm a professional organizer. I can create any kind of process. But I didn't have enough history or experience to create a process for cleaning. I just didn't. And I had my daughter, and the 2 helpers that I had at that time were great. They were like, no, you take care of her, stay home, we got this. But they expected me to come back, right, after a little while, to come and help again. And I was so scared and desperate that I was going to have to go back. And so my breaking point was going home from the hospital. So I was only in the hospital 24 hours. They discharged me. And when we got in the car, I looked at my husband and I said, I have to go check on a house. And he looked at me and he's like, are you crazy? And I was, though. I was literally crazy at that time. I didn't have trust in my 2 helpers. I didn't know how to communicate. It was all my fault. And I was crazy. It was driving me crazy. And I did. I stopped on the way home from the hospital, and I had to walk a vacation rental. Those darn vacation rentals, right?
Yep. And one of my favorite stories is my manager Crystal. She when she had her son, she was still, she's manager but also doing some cleanings, and so she had to go do a vacation rental. And my favorite thing is when she reenacts making a bunk bed when she is like 8-9 months pregnant, and she like heaves herself onto it. So, so the challenge of cleaning pregnant.
So I got desperate and going to that vacation rental, asking my husband to, like, I literally heard myself saying, like, Libby, you're nuts.
This is insane.
And so I started to look, and that's where I found Debbie Sardone. And I invested in a mentor. So I always encourage everyone. There's many, many great mentors, coaches. If you don't know what you're doing or you feel like you're stuck, to look for help. I was desperate because I didn't have time to figure this out. I had like a month until they expected me to come back into the field. And so I just, I felt like buy your answer. So I always feel like if you're struggling or you're stuck, coaches and mentors are like the fast pass at Disney World. If you pay a little extra money, you're going to get to cheat the line.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, find the one that resonates with you, find the tribe that is close to you. Like I said, there's a great segment of coaches out there. Just make sure you pick a good coach, because there are some that may not give the best advice.
Absolutely. It's like, have they actually done like what you want to do? And, and really checking out what do you resonate with? And that's where it's like, okay, there's like, we've all been on videos, things like that. And so pick your poison and who you connect with the most. And like you said, you'll find your tribe. And even like, that's why I'm such a big fan of like audiobooks, podcasts, and things like that, because you can do that while you're cleaning. And so like, guys, listen to books, listen to business podcasts, listen to this podcast, obviously. But there's so many resources out there. And then taking a look at furthering that will, like you said, fast track you to, because you're learning from our mistakes, basically. Like the solutions that we have is truly because it was born out of pain.
Oh yeah. And it's 100% pain. So, and I was desperate. So here's the thing with desperation. We've all been there. And it's like, do I let it defeat me or do I use it to push me? Or do I use it to help me find a solution or an answer? And we're all in those times of desperation, whether you're feeling desperate because you're burnt out or you're frustrated or you can't keep employees or your customers are all canceling. That's the time to find that courage, we call it fearlessness inside of you to say, hey, I have to keep pushing through this. And listen to that, because if you give up, you're going to, when you stop, you're going to end up right back where you were. And then you're going to ask yourself, why does this keep happening? Which is the definition of insanity. But if you push through it and you seek help, mentors, just curiosity, like listening to things, like you said, the books, YouTube videos, there's so many podcasts going on right now. Just having that curiosity, I think naturally will guide you to that tribe that you're looking for, the person that you connect with. But when we're not curious and we're not open-minded, I think that prevents us from finding that solution.
Yeah, not being too proud to say I don't know here, and because that puts you in that curious mindset and being willing to learn. And I will say I have experienced that having. Where, doing consulting calls and having lots of different types of conversations where I speak to somebody and they immediately lead with I've done this and I've done this and so
everything's great.
Everything's great. And it's well, why are you talking to me then? Clearly it's not great. And kind of puffing out their chest, because I think they're for whatever reason that they're doing that, it's I can see right through you. You don't know what you're doing, and that's okay. And just say that. Why are we blustering here? And so, coming from a place of humility and wanting to be a student of the game at all times, I'm still a student. I am still. You're never a master, And so, just always keeping that kind of learning mindset and being open to new things, and even just these podcasts have been so informative to me, because okay, organizing, absolutely, I'm still in Serene Clean, and I'm that's interesting. Maybe I'll pull that string sometime, because I like hearing the prices and hearing, how you can stand out and differentiate yourself and offer more to your current clients. That's a beautiful thing. So
it's the easiest way to grow a business is sell more to your current customer.
Exactly. 100%. And we've had that conversation. We have 3 locations for Serene Clean. It's okay, we don't want to open more locations. We want to, obviously get as much out of the current market that we can, but then take a look at adding more depth and breadth to our current services so we can get more money out of the same customers. That's the ideal, because they're already happy. They already trust you. They're much more likely to buy from you guys. But don't take what I just said to mean I'm going to don't offer everything, especially in the beginning. Please do not do that. Get very good at cleaning, or whatever you're starting with. Get very, very good at that. Don't just say I'm going to do everything, because then you're going to suck at everything and it's going to fall apart. So
you have to specialize. You have to specialize before you can generalize.
Yes. 100%. So things were growing. You got your systems in place. You have your daughter, so what year did you start? Remind me of that, Libby. 2017,
I started my cleaning up right at the end of 2017. I had my daughter in 2018. And from 2018 to 2021, I grew it to $1 million. In 3 years, because it was pretty much almost at zero when I went to have the baby, because I left and it was there wasn't much left. And we grew to $1 million, and we were at 2 million the year Ian hit us, which was in 2023. And then that leveled us. We lost 400 customers in one day.
Oh my God.
And
can't imagine. I don't even know what to say to that. I'd love to. Tell me how you regrew, because now all of a sudden there's no houses because they're literally leveled, or underwater. So how do you rebuild? Also talk about your mentality, because that would crush a lot of people. They would throw in the towel right there, and I'm sure a lot of companies did.
So many of my local competitors did. So in that time before Ian hit us, I had launched Woot Recruit, which is a recruiting software. And so that kind of, kept me busy. And it was one of those things where I think everything happens for a reason. Because I had launched Woo Recruit, I had money coming in when Ian hit us, and so one company's kind of saved the other, or at least saved me, and I didn't have to pay myself from one company. So, anyways, how did I get through that, like mentally? I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. I think the reason that I was okay with it, and I was speaking on stage in Vegas the day it hit us. It wasn't supposed to hit us. It was supposed to go to Tampa, and I left my kids with my mom, and mom was like, no, it's not supposed to come to Fort Myers, don't worry. And I got on the plane, went to sleep, got there, woke up, and they're like, it's stalled and it's headed straight to Fort Myers. And it's category 5, by the way. So, it was probably one of the hardest times of my life. That being said, my ex-husband was extremely abusive mentally and physically. He was an alcoholic. There was infidelity. So I've been through hard times, being kicked out. Like, I've been through extremely hard times. This was like a hard time for me because I had to be strong for our employees. And, we were a $2 million business, and I have a whole emergency preparedness plan. You can use it for the winter storms, hurricanes, you name it. On like who do I start coaching at what time and how and why? Like customers,
I love that. That's a great suggestion to put something into place, because no matter where you are listening from, we all deal with natural disasters, all of us.
I shared it in ZenMade a couple days ago for everyone to prepare for the winter storm.
Oh, I'll definitely have to check that out. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, yes, we just woke up to a bunch of snow, and my flight got canceled tomorrow from Savannah. So yes, it's you never know what's going to hit you and where.
No. So I had to learn how to be the strong person for them. Typically, I was always the strong person for myself. Right, in my past and in those issues, but this was like I had to be strong for our employees, because everyone was like literally losing their mind. There's no power, there's no water. It looks like a bomb went off in our town. And it hit on Thursday. We closed Thursday and Friday. I flew back. I flew to another airport, drove in here because you couldn't get in. And I spent the day on Sunday driving around as much as I could and trying to see what was going on. And I had to make the decision to reopen on Monday or stay closed.
Yeah.
And I know that if I didn't reopen on Monday, when would I reopen? And I have to make sure that, and it's one of those decisions like, are you being insensitive? But we have bills as a company, and our employees are expected to, survive and make ends meet. So I decided to reopen on Monday morning. We had no power. We had made shirts that said, we don't need power to clean.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And everyone's like, well, how did you clean? I'm like, we bought brooms. Literally, the only thing you need power for to clean is a vacuum.
Yep. Everything else you can do without, I suppose. Yeah.
We bought brooms, and our cleaners carried their own water. We had them carry jugs of water, and they carried their own water. So what we did was we reopened on Monday morning, and I had one house on the schedule.
I was going to ask, like, how many clients really even, like, was even on their mind at all, to get clean. So did that, like, increase throughout the week then? Like, what did that first week look like?
Yeah, it did increase because so many people were, without water. They couldn't even clean. They were without power. They wanted us to check on their houses. They wanted us to help them because their house is flooded. Or they had like minor flooding, but so they wanted us to come mop or disinfect because they'd been living in it for 4 days with no water. So we did get that Monday morning. We only had one house. I'll never forget it. But in the afternoon, we had like 17 houses.
Okay.
And it slowly came back, but it was hard. There was no internet. We have in my hurricane preparedness plan, it tells you to coach your customers and employees that you're going to communicate through email, because email takes the least amount of data to send. Text messages don't work anymore. Apps don't work anymore. There's not enough data. The cell towers are down. So we communicate through email. Your CRMs are down, so you need to make sure, well, they're not down. You just can't access them because you don't have enough internet. So you need to make sure you do a quick export. Like if you know something's coming, just export your customers.
Ooh, good tip. Good tip.
All of this is in that hurricane preparedness plan. Yeah.
We're definitely going to check that out. It's in the mastermind. Maybe we'll link it. Link it below.
It's in the mastermind group.
In the show notes for anybody who is interested in that. Thank you for sharing that, because I mean, you're blowing my mind right now. I'm like, gosh, we need this. We need this. Like, obviously we have a lot of things in place, but I did not think about all of this. And the power situation of how do you get the clients, addresses and all of that to even go to them. So, and honestly, what you're saying right now, and like what's just screaming in my mind as you speak, is just rolling with the punches and adaptability. And I think that is one of truly the markers of somebody who's going to make it, is can you roll with psychotic situations and adapt and figure something out. And obviously, both of us went through COVID as business owners. My business was just a year old. And obviously, neither of us or anybody else had experienced this type of thing before. So I've seen some of your content related to like employees pre, during, and post COVID. So I definitely want to talk about that and go over it. But, COVID actually was very good for Serene Clean. How was it for you guys, and how did you adapt quickly?
Phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, we made good money.
We did so great. I gave away disinfectant. So I was lucky because my distributor for my cleaning products hoarded disinfectant for me. And so we gave it away. We were on the news. We were giving away like through drive-thrus for people to come pick up bottles of disinfectant, bring your own bottle, and we'll fill it up. And we got we took some GBAC certifications through ISSA. And we got GBAC certified. And so what we did was every time we cleaned, we left the certificate that said it was cleaned by a certified GBAC company. Yeah. And what we did was we went really big into commercial at that time because they all wanted that sign on their door.
Yep.
Everybody. They literally just wanted to pay me for the sign because then it helped make people feel better that the place had been disinfected professionally.
That's exactly what my experience was when it came to like our commercial clients. Of they were like doubling their business because they're all essential and all of their workers were obviously rightfully so freaking out. And so I'm like, they were asking us to do this, and I'm like, you guys, I think I joked with one of them. I was like, okay, we'll come and spray this disinfectant, like, because they bought us sprayers. Like, they're like, use these sprayers. Here's the disinfectant. Like, some of our clients provided that. I'm like, so you want my staff to come do this? And they're like, it makes our employees feel better seeing you guys do it as opposed to us doing it. Like, it was such a psychological thing in that entire situation. But yeah, I loved, that is so wonderful. That's a great thing right there when it comes to giving away the disinfecting and like even there, adaptability. And this is going to sound weird, I think, or potentially bad, but using situations in multiple ways, meaning you are helping people, but at the same time, it's making your brand look better. We did the same thing during COVID. I reached out to all of the churches and local businesses that were shut down, and we did free deep cleanings for them. And that was because I had the PPP, I could pay it. But then also, they all remember that. And so for you, I mean, that was beautiful, free marketing, and you were doing a good thing. So it's really not bad. It's just you're getting rewarded for doing a good thing, basically.
No, I know. We do that every time there's a hurricane. So we have a whole strategy on how to help the community prep for it. So we have tips and plans, and we post them. I've gathered, this is going to sound so basic, but I've gathered all the live camera links in my area.
Oh, wow.
And so when a bad situation is coming, like the snow, if you share those like on your Facebook page and in groups, on your business profile, people come to it. When we got hit with, because they're searching, or people in groups start to share it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not there. I want to see how my family's doing. I evacuated. I want to see what the area looks like. So just really doubling down. We shared all the police tips. We shared all the fire department tips. We wanted to be that central source where our customers and our followers went to for good advice.
And you are, I mean, being a powerhouse in your local community, that's truly the way to stand out. That's the way to serve better, because at the end of the day, this is a local service business. And if you just act in generalities as if your business could be anywhere, you're just missing out on so many opportunities to connect, because the beauty is we are part of communities. Even if you are in a big city, like, your business is in a community, and really leaning into that and being this go-to resource. Oh gosh, very, very smart, Libby. I'm just like, I'm really dazzled by all of this quick thinking on your part, as well as strategically thinking, because it's not like this is the last hurricane that's going to hit Florida. So this is going to happen. And it's just like you said, of continuing to do the same things and expecting different results is insanity. And that's, listening to the alarm bells, looking at the situations in your business and saying something needs to change, and brainstorming around that thing, and not just expecting the problem to go away because you're ignoring it. That's not going to work, and it will probably put you out of business eventually. So, if
it doesn't put you out of business, you're going to hate your business eventually.
Exactly. It's going to be the worst job that you're shackled to ever, and you're probably not going to make any money. So such a good point. So talk to me about, hiring, and how did Woot Recruit come to be? Where did that come from? And just, I want to kind of switch gears and talk about staffing, because it is such a focus in our industry as being a giant problem. It is such a challenge, not a problem, but a big challenge. So can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, Woot Recruit was created by myself because I couldn't figure out how to hire while I was pregnant. I would clean houses all day, and I would run to a Starbucks, change my clothes in the car, all sweaty and dirty, to run to like a Starbucks for nobody to be there. Like absolutely nobody. And I kept doing this over and over and over. Like one time I sat at a McDonald's for 6 hours because I had staggered like 6 interviews and none of them showed up. And so I'm like, finally I stopped and I said, this is insanity. Like, this is crazy. And I was recruiting the traditional way, like post it on Indeed, look at all the applications, call the ones you like, then set up an interview and do them one-to-one. And I said, this is not going to help. Like, this is not going to, I can't scale this way. There's not enough time in the day. So I went back to the drawing board, and I've always been very techie, just self-taught stuff, like, Google or YouTube videos. It was before ChatGPT existed. So, and I created a process and I automated the process, and my God, it turned hiring into like a breeze. It was like, it's like the Uber of hiring. I turned it on and people were there and I didn't have to do anything. I was like, oh, wow, this is great. And someone had asked me, like, how am I growing so fast? How can I keep up with the staffing demand? The turnover we have in cleaning is horrible. And I said, oh, well, I created this process, and it's like on demand hiring. And they're like, oh my gosh, would you give a presentation about it at this conference? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I was in the audience, and one of my good friends, Paul Fasshauer, he has a giant $4 or $5 million cleaning company in Phoenix, was in the audience, and he said, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. This was worth my whole trip. And that was in 2020, right? That was literally when COVID hit. We were at a conference and we didn't know if we could even get home.
Wow.
And he goes, would you help me implement this into my business? Will you do it for me? Like, will you work with me? And I said, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't even know what we're doing or if we're even going to get home. And so we worked on it, and we launched it in, I believe it was May. And in 4 months, he went from 17 cleaners to 42.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
He's massive, and his ability to grow is something like I've never seen, because he will put the money towards, if I need more marketing, I need more trainers. And so we took him from 17 to 42 cleaners. And after we did that, he came back to me and he said, would you be willing to make this a product and sell it? And I was like, I never thought about it. Yep. I said, sure. And so we worked on it. We offered it to a couple of our friends, and then it worked really well for them. And so in 2021, we launched Woot Recruit. And it's just been the first year we were live, we did $1 million in 2 years in revenue.
Good for you. I mean, there's such a demand. I mean, this is a problem that is never going away. It is the reality of our industry, is hiring's a bitch.
So, from there, it's been great. So I created it out of desperation again. Like, when you're desperate, you innovate, you find solutions. And I created it out of desperation, pregnant, trying to get myself out of the field.
Wow, that is incredible. So how many cleaning company owners, or cleaning company businesses, should I say, utilize Woot Recruit right now? Do you know?
I think there's about 400. So we don't just service cleaning. We service about 25 different industries. So we're very big. We're very big in cleaning. We're very big in commercial cleaning. We work very well for commercial cleaning.
Okay.
So residential cleaning, commercial cleaning, very big in landscaping, lawn care. Roofing is a big industry for us. Truck drivers, like CDL drivers. We do anything that is an entry level, W-2, high turnover.
Okay. Got it. I'll be getting more information about this because I'm so curious. I'll talk to you after the call because this is very intriguing to me. And yeah, it is a challenge, and there's ways to work around it. Of course, we do group interviews and things like that, but it is a big challenge, obviously, especially when people quit without notice or you get new opportunities and you have to scramble. So I would love to learn more about this and encourage our listeners to do so as well if this sounds intriguing to you, because it certainly does to me.
Well, Woot Recruit, this is one thing I have to say about Woot Recruit. We don't have a contract. Why did I do that? How many of us have been, like, let's just say, kind of screwed by Angie's List or like Home Advisor or some other places where you have to sign a contract? Sorry to those if you're listening that like them.
Nobody
but
likes
the last time I signed a contract was with Angie's List, and it was absolutely freaking horrible. Like, I was getting assaulted, violated, you name it. And I told, our team, I never want to do that to anybody because I don't want that done to myself. If my service sucks, then I can leave.
Yep.
But the way we keep customers and our reputation is by providing really great service. That being said, we're not for everybody because we don't recruit in the traditional way. It's very non-traditional, but that's also why we get results.
Interesting. Yeah, that's when you say, can you go, or are you willing to go into a little detail on what do you mean by non-traditional ways?
So we're not an ATS. An ATS is an applicant tracking system, which are your typical Jazz HRs. They come free with your Gustos and your Bamboo HRs. They're barbarically outdated and slow. They're okay if you're like hiring a C-suite or an executive or like $1 million revenue per employee, like a garage door installer.
That ain't us.
No, but when you're hiring a cleaning technician, it doesn't allow for the volume we need so that we can select applicants out of value instead of out of desperation. Mm-hmm. Because I need to hire, 2 people showed up. Well, statistically, that isn't going to work because we need to make 4 offers to get 1 great hire, right? And if I only...
The whole warm body situation, we definitely went through our phase there where it's like, are they alive? Do they have a pulse? Get them in there.
Right. So it doesn't give us the volume that we need for our staffing demands in residential, commercial, lawn care, and roofing. It just doesn't. Mm-hmm. I think what we mess up in cleaning a lot, and this is for no matter if you're small or large, is that we take tools that maybe were created and we don't know what they were created for. Like assessments and the ATSs. And we take these tools that people talk about and we see in books and we use them without any regard that, maybe this was for a $180,000 employee, or maybe this was for an executive level hire. And we're trying to make it work for a cleaning technician. Mm-hmm. Or we're wondering why it won't work for a cleaning technician and we're frustrated.
Yeah, square peg into a round hole and really not understanding this may not be for me, and our specific, that's why I like ZenMaid. It's made for cleaning company owners, and so their features that they add are for us. It's not just for any service provider. Sorry, not trying to plug ZenMaid, but it's true. I am trying to plug it, obviously, but so it's just I like using things that are made for us, and also where you're at in your business life, if you will. So that's pretty amazing. I'd love to hear any other thoughts you have on kind of mistakes that you oftentimes are seeing with folks when it comes to, softwares or making decisions along. Because for me, I know, for us, we've definitely gotten a little software crazy sometimes and add things and then like in hindsight of like, oh, like we're not going, like, are you actually going to use it? And then you're spending a shit ton of money on different softwares and that disappointment. And then, you know, you're like, I'm never going to love again. Like, I'm not going to try any more softwares, when truly there may be a great one out there for you. So any suggestions and tips on that?
Yes. So as an organizer, unless the software is selling you a system, right? No, I'm sorry. Unless the software is selling you a process, do not buy any software without having your process. So with WooRecruit, you're buying a process. You're buying my process that I created, automations, workflows, verbiage is in there, the copy's written. You have to do nothing. But if I go buy like, let's just say like a CRM, like a Keep or like a Go High Level, I have to create everything in it, right? So what we typically do is we run to buy a software because we think it's our solution. But that being said, the organizer side of me, like my professional organizing side, has shifted over the years to I do a ton of business structure and frameworks and organization in businesses. You have to have your process first, and then you find the software that fits your process. If you don't, then you're conforming to the software's process. And then we get frustrated because it doesn't work the way we want it to. But unless the software is giving you a process, you have to have your process first.
So some of our listeners, what do you mean by process, and how do you find out if that software works for your process?
Yeah, so a process is nothing but a series of steps you've written down of how you want to execute something, right? So there's strategy, that's high level. Like my goal is $2 million this year in 2025, right? A process or tactics are like, here are the steps that I'm going to do to get to $2 million. And so you have to make sure you have the tactics or the strategy. People call them playbooks. People call them SOPs. But you have to have an idea of how you want it to flow for your business. What are the series of steps that you would like to see? Then you have to demo the softwares to see if it does it. And that's why typically we get upset because we buy something and they're like, well, I want to do it like this, but the software doesn't do it like that.
It doesn't feel intuitive because it doesn't go with how you potentially work. So really you need to map out your ideal or what you think you want it to do or how you want to do this process, and then find the thing that suits you. That's a great tip and very actionable. So even if you're just a 1 or 2 man crew, you're just by yourself right now, that doesn't mean you can't or shouldn't be documenting. You should absolutely be documenting. And as I always say, these are living, breathing documents. They change a million times. Like it doesn't, like, don't stress so much like this needs to be perfect. It's just you tweak it. And even it's like a scientific experiment. You have a hypothesis, you try it out, and then were you right, were you wrong? Just tweak it. It's okay. And the softwares I am assuming like they may shape that a little bit, to work with it, because nothing's going to be perfect, but it shouldn't be so completely different from how you behave or want to behave, because you're never going to use it then at that point.
No, and with software, it's just do your own research, because I see a lot of people buying stuff because we have a ton of FOMO in this industry, like a ton of FOMO.
Yes. Shiny object syndrome. Look at this.
We're like,
look at this.
whoa, look at this the app. Like, yay. Another, and it's like literally death by a million cuts.
Yep.
Paper cuts. It's like $9 and $10 and $39. And I own 2 softwares, but it's definitely, and we don't need them. So there are stages of growth. And through the stages of growth, you have to learn how to simplify, and you're going to have to learn how to cut back. When I hit over $1 million, I couldn't get to $1.5 million. I actually had to cut out stuff because I had made it too complicated.
Yeah. And really, hitting, like, there's different points where you hit different stagnation, and you have to do a bigger shift in how you run things, and you might need a bigger overhaul. And I typically, I know when I talk to a lot of people, or my own experience of getting to 400 or 500, then it's like, now we really need to start systematizing everything. And then you hit $1 million, and it's like, okay, then things change. And now we've been at 1.3, between 1.3 and 1.4 for the past year or so. It's been intentional because we are not ready for more until we fix these internal problems that are happening, because all we're going to do is grow the problems along with the business. So it's fix these, and then we can focus on that and thinking long game. Obviously, you got to make quick decisions. You have to push for growth at all times and be looking for that, but don't get ahead of yourself. It's a balancing act of taking on a bunch to push yourself, but also you don't want to sink the boat because you try to move too fast. At least that's been our experience, and it's been good to take that slowdown period this past year or so, because it was just a galloping like whirlwind, as I call it, for us from the beginning. So do you have any points where you wish you had taken a little bit more time to think things through?
Well, the hurricane did that for us. When we got hit and we reset, it was actually, I feel like it was for a reason. When we got hit with the hurricane, a lot of my cleaning business friends were like, "What can we do? We want to help you. Let's grow it." And I said, "You know what? I think I'm good." We were growing so fast, the wheels on the bus were shaking, like they were going to fall off. Yeah. And so we decided to kind of take a step back. And so there are seasons. So this is the thing you have to ask yourself for the listeners. There are seasons in your life for everything. And so there are seasons of growth. There are seasons of implementation, and there are seasons of stability, right? There are seasons. And so they evolve just like they do the season outside, like winter, summer, spring, and fall. And so your business can't always be growing. So that's like one thing I get irritated too in the cleaning. It's like it cannot always be growing.
Nope.
It's too messy, and it causes too much instability, and you're probably turning over a lot of people. Because a growing company is a messing company. A fast-growing company is a very messy company, and that could create fear and instability in some of your people. And so what season are you in right now? So when we got hit with the hurricane, I kind of just had to come to terms with, I'm in the season of stability. Like, we've implemented, but now we need to focus on our processes. We need to slow down. We were a little too big for our britches.
It's a pride thing. At least that was for me. I had to check my ego and stop pushing for growth, because it was like, why am I? And I think that's one of the problems. I mean, obviously the internet's a beautiful thing, but you guys who are all listening, you now know how much my business is bringing in. You now know how much our guest businesses are bringing in. All right. And these numbers are making you feel things about your business, I'd imagine. So please, 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 I know that you may find it is an inspiration. Use it as that, but make sure you keep it in realm of we're all in different circumstances, and that may not be where you need to be. You maybe shouldn't be in a season of growth right now because it's such a mess. And so don't feel pressured because of what we're saying or the numbers that you hear. And at the end of the day, you don't know what the hell's going on. You do not know how much they're taking home, most likely. You don't know anything about that. And you also don't know what kind of sacrifices are being made to get to that potentially. So keep that in mind. Try not to compare. I know it's so hard not to do that because of the internet, and we're so we know so much more about each other than we would ever know 20, 30 years ago. You'd never know what another business is bringing in. You just wouldn't.
No, and I would say you cannot compare your chapter to my book. You can't compare your chapter of where you're at right now to my book. Because you don't know, like Stephanie just said, you don't know. I just got done working 3 weeks in a row, 100 hours a week. It was intentional. It was intentional. It was heads down. I bought a software. We're going to get this launched. We're going to get it built. And I was also restructuring all the companies. And then I took 3 days off and went to the Virgin Islands. But you don't know all the things I did. You don't know, when I hit that first $1 million, I literally had no profit because I was sinking it all back into marketing, just trying to hit $1 million. That's it. And you don't know the days that I sat in my garage and cried because I blew $2,000 on Google AdWords in 8 hours because I set it up wrong.
Well, right there. Thank you for saying that. It's we can all be dazzled by revenue numbers, and that, again, coming back to coaching and things like that, being a consulting person, you being a coach, don't be dazzled completely by that. You should really be dazzled by what kind of life are they living, and is that what you want, and are they choosing to live it that way? What you just said, that was a choice you made. I work very long hours sometimes, or go long stretches. That is a choice because I really love what I do and I'm very passionate about it. I do not need to do that. It's my choice. And so really, holistically taking a look at who are you listening to, who are the messages that you're exposing yourself. And if it makes you feel like crap all the time when you're hearing somebody talk, take care of you. If seeing that type of stuff and being being influenced by outside forces on what you should be doing in your business, like, it's very different than potentially what we need to be in. And it's so funny, you are now the third guest who has brought up seasons of life and seasons of business. So listeners, I hope you guys are noticing this pattern that like all of our guests are saying, pay attention to the fact that this may not be the season that you want to be in. It's the season that you have to be in. Accept it, learn from it, and be where you need to be. Stop trying to be in fall when it's spring, right?
Well, implementation isn't sexy.
Mm-hmm. No,
none of us like to do it. We just want to keep learning. Like, let me learn. Let me take another course. Like, there's nothing sexy about implementation, but we need it because without that, the learning is worthless.
Yep. Absolutely. And I could have a million ideas, and I do, and I throw them at my managers, and it's like too much. We need to focus. You'll hear that word a lot on this podcast too. It's something I continually struggle with. And so this has been like a reminder to myself, as always, of just stay focused on one path until you get through that thing, and then you can move on to the next. And, again, many guests have talked about this already. So I just hope you guys are paying attention to the fact that, like, here are these, $1 million+ cleaning company owners who say, this may not be the season for growth, guys. And maybe it is. But I want you to heed that warning, because I think a lot of people get impatient. Or you hear our stories, especially when they did grow fast because of our circumstances or whatever, and you're like, why can't I have that? And you can have something like it, but it's going to be a different story. Every single story is going to be unique, and just focus on your own path.
It comes at a cost, and you have to ask yourself, are you willing to pay that price?
Yep.
I had a conversation with a business owner who wanted to be $1.5 million. She's $1 million right now. But she will not do enough interviewing slots. She needs more help. But she will only interview like 1 day a week, only like one time slot. And I said to them, I said, if you want to be a $1.5 million business owner, you need to open up your slots. You need to have more applicants coming through. You don't have enough staff. She goes, well, I said, otherwise you're not going to make it. That's the price you have to pay. And she said, maybe I don't want to pay that price then.
Well, and it's like, at that point, it's like, I have an HR manager. Like, Crystal's my HR manager. That's her job. Like, at that point, do you need to delegate? Do you need to bring on a VA or something, like, to help you accommodate the administrative staff? So don't get too many administrative staff, but also don't be stingy, guys. Like, don't expect that you can just handle it all and not think that there's going to be problems. And also, you probably need different opinions, because you may be, barking up the wrong tree, and you're blind because all you're seeing is your own thoughts,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Libby, this has been amazing. I do want to just shortly touch on your book. What is your book about? I know that is it about to launch, or has it launched?
No, it's about to launch. We're still finishing up. So it's 1 layer deep, and it's operational. It's an operational blueprint for growing and scaling a business. So everyone's read Buy Back Your Time with Dan Martell, and it's like, here's your buyback time, your buyback rate, hire your executive assistant, hire your VA, hire all this. But my book is kind of that step before that, because it's like, what if I can't afford to buy back my time right now? What if I don't have the processes or any structure yet? How do I get that so that I can buy back my time? And so it's kind of the step before that. And as far as creating structure in your company to kind of give you that freedom to buy back your time. Because when we're smaller, we're just like throwing stuff at the wall. We don't have anything documented. And if we did document it, no one can find it. So it's 1 layer deep is a strategy or kind of a mindset that I used back in the day when I used to organize people's houses. They would want like the most beautiful Target, like organizing bins and like drawer dividers and I always call those booby traps because they're setting you up to fail because there's too many steps in the process to maintain that area. And so you want to create 1 layer deep, like it's 1 layer to the solution.
I love that. I'll definitely, I will absolutely be listening to that because that is, it really keeping things as simple as possible because the simpler it is, the easier it is to implement, to follow, and then tweak as needed. So that's, can't wait to read that. So Libby, where can we find you? Where can we listen to you? Where can we find your book when it launches?
So on my website has everything, and it has all my businesses. It has my book. Well, it has to sign up to get notified when it releases. It's supposed to release in sometime in May or June. Okay. And so on my website, LibbyDeLucien.com or LibbyD.com, if you can't spell my last name. Mm-hmm. And I am the only Libby DeLucien in the world. So if you just Google me, you will find me.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, we will absolutely be looking for that book, and everybody go check out our other interviews as well on other YouTube channels and things like that, because I will encourage you. She's had a lot of great conversations, and I feel like we could have a whole hour just talking about what you just said for your book. So maybe we do another interview closer to the launch or when it launches, because I would love to dig a little bit deeper into that, because as you said, it is that, being the step ahead or in front of the buy back your time concept, which that's a book I highly recommend everybody to read. But you are so right, is that a lot of people, they can't afford to do that yet. So it's not practical advice necessarily to everybody. So wow, I'm so excited to read that. And thank you for your time, Libby. I really appreciate it. And everybody, thanks for listening. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, leave a comment what you thought, and share this with your cleaning company friends that you think that they would enjoy this. I'll see you next time on Filthy Rich Cleaners. Bye, guys.